We're still building the tag ring, and today is going to be a short video. So hi, this is Kelly. It's Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and I'm still building the tag ring. This is one of those big, I think it was a 3-inch ring that I picked up at that flea market last week. Yeah, and I think this is going to be overkill, but for now I'm going to leave it on the 3-inch ring till I see how much I get done when I'm building this up. Now, I leave for a crafting retreat in Kansas at Big Mama's on Sunday. And so I've decided that this is all I'm going to take with me and finish this tag thing while I'm at Big Mama's. So, because there's no way I can get it all done in the next video. And I already have Saturday's video ready to upload. And you're going to see something different that I've done with this kit that does not involve tags. So, what I thought I'd do is I'd talk about what I am packing to take to Big Mama's with me as I want to put this together. So one of my first things I'm going to include is my die cutting machine from Stampin' Up. This is a small one, but it will hold any size die I need to put through here. I thought about taking my Tim Holtz, and I still might switch this out. We'll see. Because this is eventually going to go in my travel case. A permanent travel art case. So it still may be it. Sorry, as I stand on my head. So I have that. And this morning I went through and I pulled out several die kits that I have. Aside from those ones that we'd already talked about. Which were the leaves from this one, from Gathering Together. And that stamp set, and I could stamp the pumpkins, and the pumpkins could get cut out. So those would work for fall. Christmas seasons for the pine cones, and this is layered so you get the dimension of the pine cones in there and some of the pine greenery. Coffee Cafe. Let's see, this went with Christmas season, went with that set. And then Coffee Cafe went with Merry Cafe so that I would have like the Hello Fall, the It's Pumpkin Spice, the apple cider, that kind of thing. And then I have these. Don't think I'm going to take these. I think I'm going to leave them unless I want to do the words. So maybe I will take this one, but I need to get this put into this form first. Why don't we do that first, actually? But the other ones I pulled out were Stampin' Up! Shapes, which has the ovals and the circles and the squares. And since I found a different set, I may not take that one. Locks and keys. Now, the keys just called to me, so we'll see about that one. Then I pulled out some that I thought I might cut out or take with me if the girls want to cut them out to have for their junk journals. So I may do that. And then, of course, it's tags, so maybe I could just do smaller tags. So this one will probably go with me. And then I spotted this one. This one is a Sizzix from Tim Holtz. And I bought this one specifically because he showed to take the archival inks to stamp your dies. And then when you run them through, you got the different colors of borders. But I think this is the best one for me to take as opposed to the Stampin' Up! Set. So I'm going to set that one aside. So I think this is the one I'm going to use the most. And then I also pulled out Stitch So Sweet. Kind of like it, but it adds a dimension because of the stitching on the frame. And then we talked about these here. So these are ones I'm going to take with me to work on. And give me 2 seconds. Be right back. Because instead of taking that whole case and this, I have everything sitting here broke down, ready to turn those around. So I need 2 card sleeves, resealable card bags. So I have those. And I'll have to cut down a cutting mat for backing on both of those. And I will use those instead of I can use that one actually for that. Because I have to switch gears here and switch my piles. Because I'm going to need that. And I'm going to need this. And we'll throw this together so it's ready to go with the rest of them. And then I'll have to come back and label it later. But let's do the dies first, which means I need that sheet of cardstock. And I need, or cardboard rather, so I need this. And a perma pen so I can see what I'm doing. Not a photo pen, the perma pen. And I did not set my alarm, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. But I can do this, just like that. And take my good scissors. Now I can cut this on the paper trimmer, but for the ease of just getting this done quick, I'm just going to do this. That one can go over there. Now I have a metal door to my office, and I keep a lot of these magnet scraps up there, so if I need a piece of magnet for something, it's there. Now I'm going to take, and for the ease of doing this quickly today, oh nuts. There it is. I was going to say, I thought I'd left this in on the dining room table. But I'm just going to do this for today. And I am going to go ahead and squiggle some glue on here. So I'll have a little extra support, but that tape runner will hold this in place while we mess with it today. And I'm going to lay that right over top. Okay, then we can go back in here and while that's drying, get my roller here and secure this a little bit more. But then I will put together a kit box that has everything in it that I need to finish these tags while I'm gone. Whatever dies I decide to use, the die cutting machine, and I'm leaning towards the Tim Holtz. Just because when I do create a travel case later, that's the one I'm going to put in as my go-to die cutting for travel. So we just go through and we put these all on a magnet sheet and get them off of this sheet here. Now see, that's a smaller cup than that picture leads you to believe. Kind of like that. So are the pumpkins. Now I could cut these smaller pumpkins and apples out and use them as embellishments on the tags themselves. Let's drop that one in there. We have. And this is how I store all of my 600 plus stamp sets and coordinating dies. They all get stored this way. And I store them in shoe boxes from Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobbies are just a little bit narrower than the ones from Michael's, but my Michael's is 4 hours round trip away, and I don't go that way very often, whereas Hobby Lobby is 2 hours round trip and I'm there once a week. So there is that. Okay, there's all those dies. I can just get rid of that. And these get cut off. I'm going to use my trimmer for this. And I trim off just about the top of the bag. If I was to pull the arm out and measure, it comes out to be at about the 7-inch mark. But it didn't need to be that precise. And then this will get glued to the back of this. And I'm just going to take my scissors and shorten that off. Again, doesn't have to be precise. But this gives me the information on the back should I ever need it. And I'll come back in with my glue and run it here. Now to label it, you'll see all of my dies sleeves have this type of Brother P-Touch label on it. I had found some of those at Joann's when I first started this project about 2 years ago, and I bought all they had, and I went back to get more and they had not gotten any more in. So I found it online on Amazon, and so I went in on Amazon and bought all of it that they had on Amazon, so I would not have to worry about not having it when I wanted to work on a project and having to change a color coding system, because, you know, that's the OCD in me. Okay, so there's the dies. And then I'll put a label across here, More Than Autumn, so I know what stamp set they coordinate with. And when I put this in the bag, and then see, we get rid of that bulk. Look at the difference in the amount of space that that takes. So we'll get rid of that. Did you see, if you follow Stampin' Up! At all, they are going to go to sleeves. That's going to make this so much nicer to store your stamps and dies together. They're finally getting the hint that we really need to make room for less space. Now this one I will cut off. And I have saved these to use those images, not the words, but some of the other images, to color and use them in journals. So we'll save that. This will go in a sleeve, just like this. Now I do need something a little more stable than this. So I use the cutting mats from Dollar Tree to go on my sleeves. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And then I know that I can take off about a ½ inch on here. And I used my Stampin' Up! Trimmer when I did those 600 sets. And I got to tell you, I used one cutting blade for everything. Cutting the magnet sheets, cutting the cutting board mats, everything. I'll get rid of that. And then I have this to back that as soon as I get it on there straight. And then this one goes into that other bag. Oh, it's already here. It's already here. Now this takes up much less room in my craft room, and it's lighter weight for travel. So there's the stamp sets I'll be working with. Now, let me get down to one of these stamp sets that I picked out. Okay, see, that one needs a board. One on the very bottom, I do believe. No, that was the keys, pockets. This one from Tim Holtz. Now see, now I've got these that I can go through, and with the dies, I can figure out what size I need on there. Hello Fall won't fit in that one. Hello Fall won't fit in that one. Nope, won't fit in that one either. This one may be trickier than I thought. I really wanted an oval for those, but those ovals are just either too small or too big. So let's go to one of those other die sets. Let's see if something else jumps out at me. Looking at my dies. Oh no, there's a thought. There's a thought. Keys. What about if we cut that out with a pumpkin? Hello Fall would fit in that pumpkin. Or in the, not quite in the double pumpkin. That one I know it won't fit. But that's a thought. So I'll keep playing with these and then pick out what I want to use to cut those out with. That needs something else. My brain just went dead. I may have to wind up using this one. Let's see. This is the Stampin' Up! Set Shapes, stitched shapes. See, Hello Fall would fit in that one. And so would Apple Cider. So I guess this is the set I'm going to take with me as well. Just like that. I had this one set up before using laminator sheets to make these pockets before I decided to do the entire collection. So those are packaged just a little differently. So I will be taking all of these. I will put together an envelope that has all the embellishments. In fact, let's drop the embellishments part in here like that. I'm going to drop those in there like that, and then they'll be ready to go. And the other thing I had, we needed to talk about fibers. And what do I want to use for fibers? I thought I had colors pulled out here. I must have put them away, which would, you know, par for the course. So let me see here. Those are all blues. We don't need blues. We have some different greens. What I'm looking at is, because these are going to be on the rings, and they'll be, but I still want fibers on these. So what I'm thinking is stapling the fibers to the sides, or gluing them to the sides, so that I still get the fluff of the fibers, but they're not going through the ring through the hole where the ring needs to go. So, looking to see what I had here for fibers. Here's a nice dark one. That's too dark. That one's too dark. That one's too Christmassy. I don't want anything Christmassy. Some of these. Maybe some of that. I could trim that off and have just that. This is an extra wide seam binding that I'd really have to trim down, but that might look cute. Maybe too orange. Maybe, maybe not. And then I need some cherry cobbler kind of reds to bring out those sunflowers and the red and the maple leaves. So I have this cherry cobbler seam binding from Stampin' Up. I had this winery. I think that's got too much purple to it though. I'm looking here. And then I have, because the ones I pulled out had browns in them. Those seam binding colors that I had, there's one that I could use. And I wouldn't have to use just ribbons. This basket weave might be kind of cool. But I also have yarn fibers in here that I could pull in. I think this is too dark. I have yarn fibers in there. And I know I had those other ones sitting here somewhere. I must have buried them. Go figure. More stamps and dies. I know I had more green ones than that pulled out. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. I'll pull all the things together for that I think I could use in this kit. Make sure I've got my ink colors. And for 2 solid days at Big Mama's, this is what I'm going to work on. And when I come back, we will have this tag ring done. And we'll be kicking off the 31 days of Halloween. Beginning October 1st, there will be a tag every day in the month of October. Saturdays will be Saks tags, meaning tags will be made from products I purchased from Spectrum Art Creations. Tuesdays will be Timmy tags, so they'll be using Tim Tag templates, Timmy papers, Tim techniques, whatever. And then the rest of the days will just be whatever comes to mind. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Now those videos are going to be short because I have to record 31 of them, so bear with me. So in the meantime, think about what colors you're playing with for fall. And remember to like, to share, subscribe, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for one last video for this month. And then I will be back September 30th to show you the flip through of the ring, and then we will kick off October 1st with our first tag on Wednesday. Thanks for joining me in the studio today. Creative blessings.